Tiki Taane has made a movie. Recorded with the Christchurch Symphony Orchestra, here is Tiki Taane as you've never heard him before. The film has its New Zealand premiere in Christchurch on August 11th. And now here is Tiki Taane at the 13th floor to tell us how he put it all together.
It's called Tiki Taane in session with CSO. CSO being Christchurch Symphony Orchestra.
Right.
I grew up in Christchurch, born and raised there.
Right.
And so this opportunity came along. Gretchen, who was the CEO of the CSO.
Gotcha.
Got hold of me and said, we're thinking of doing this idea, would love to get you involved, are you interested? And I was like, straight away, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you don't turn down something like that.
No.
When you get to work with a 50-piece orchestra.
Yep.
And so we started nutting it out, and I met the arrangers, Tom Rainey, Ruben De La Torre, Ewan Clark, Hamish Oliver, sat down and was like, okay, let's work out how we're going to turn my songs into this powerful musical journey with the CSO.
Right.
And we did that, and we did some rehearsals, and I threw some cameras on it.
Yep.
And recorded it. And then the gig was amazing. It was just one of the most epic sort of feelings, and
because there's been a couple other gigs, like I just saw Troy Kingy with the APO up here, and Tammy Nielsen did one last year that was amazing. So what, as a musician, when you're used to doing gigs like you guys do with small bands and even solo stuff, how do you have to rethink what you're doing when you have 50 musicians behind you?
It's a real trip, like especially like someone like me that comes from more of a gritty underground festival, drum and bass, club environment, and then trying to work with these incredible musicians who all just read. And so it's a real trip. It's a different mindset. I think musically, you've got to pull things right out. So, a lot of the songs that I decided to do was like, I'd like to do this song. We had to go back into the original and say, well, let's get rid of that part because strings can do that, let's get rid of that because horns can do that, and so you really kind of strip it right back to the bare bones of the song so that you can let the orchestra just go in full swing and potentially just use as much of the orchestra as you can. So that's the first step, and then I guess for me as an artist is just to get my head around that imposter syndrome of like, should I be here?
Right.
I can't read or write music. I'm like, So that's another internal battle that you've got to do. But the whole thing is this, I think it's the pinnacle. For me as a musician, it's the pinnacle of your musical kind of career, I guess, is being able to perform with orchestras. Right. It's this next level.
So when you were growing up in Christchurch, did you ever see the orchestra there?
Never.
Nah,
okay. Never.
Very good. So, and now here you are.
You're right, I have it. Yeah.
So when you're walking out on the stage and you're just getting ready to do the first thing, because especially when as you was the first why am I here? Yeah. Which is a good question. Which is probably what you're thinking, right? So what does it feel like for you, just as everything kind of comes together and it's time to do your thing?
It's an amazing feeling, and that one you're talking about, it starts off with a karakia, which is like a prayer, and it's called whakapuake. And basically I start off with the breath and I loop the breath. So not only am I doing something I haven't really seen it being done, where you loop things up and the orchestra comes over the top.
Right,
So I have to get that loop nailed. If I don't get that right, then it all kind of like, ugh. So there's a lot of things in the film that I do that are really putting me on the edge of my musical capability. And I think the main thing I really focus on was just being completely relaxed. And when you try to make a loop, like I've got a loop pedal and I have to make a loop where a 50-piece orchestra then comes in over the top, I have to be completely relaxed with that loop. If I'm a little bit anxious, then I'll make the kind of feel. So that was the main thing, is just focusing on your breath, focusing on, I've got this, I've got a great team around me, let's make this happen, let's make it something really magical. And I also try not to focus on the recording or the cameras. Right. And just because once you start thinking about that, then you're like, So it was just like being in that moment and really enjoying that space.
So as the director, when you were done with this thing and you had all this footage and you're looking through it, what were your first impressions about what you ended up with?
I was so amazed. I was stoked. And also the audio as well. I listened back and went, yes. yes, I don't have to fix up too much stuff. You know, like, yes, nailed it. And then, you know, Mark Russell, who is my cameraman, and he edited all the live video footage. He was with me through this whole thing, and so he put in hundreds of hours too. Right. So him and I really sank into it and really leaned into it. You know, when I took all the files away, you got to remember these 22 cameras, it's a lot of footage, and then also the audio I recorded, which is 90 stems. And so I've got to throw that into my hard drive.
That's a lot of stems.
I put them in there, and plus it's 90 stems from start to finish, so it's an hour or something long thing. So you put it in my computer, 90 stems, push spacebar, crashes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, that's the first thing I got to deal with is how do I make my computer run? And so I had to do a lot of cutting up and shorten things and and so there's all those things, this learning curves and learning along the way. It was just such an amazing experience.
Yeah. So interspersed between the live footage is some back story and some back and something called Tiki Cam.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. So you know, originally I wasn't thinking about making a film. I was just making videos for YouTube. Really. Just sticking on YouTube. And then once we kind of finished all the videos. And put them all next to each other and watching them, I was like, oh, is there any behind the scenes-y stuff? You know, so we started digging through all that and found some little wee gems and little wee moments, and I was like, okay, so I started sprinkling that in between the songs, and then it was like, oh, I think this is a documentary. I think this falls into the category of a music documentary.
Right.
So I Googled, what is a music documentary? And I was like, oh yeah, cool, that must be it. So boom. And then I was like, okay, we've got a film.
Yep.
And so that changed everything. All of a sudden, we've got something that's like, okay, it has way more scope, way more potential. I decided to get it mixed in 5.1 and then got it transferred into a DCP, which is digital cinema project, which I didn't even know about. I didn't even know about it. And so all these things,
it's a learning process, isn't it?
Yeah, all these things I had to do, and then finally I had this film, been sending it around the world. It's been getting really beautiful responses, and New Zealand International Film Festival decided to pick it up. Yeah. So I'm so stoked for that opportunity, and it's going to get played in cinemas.
That's pretty exciting.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So, and the other exciting thing, so you have a few guests, as you alluded to, two of them being your kids.
My kids.
So they're on a tune, Serendipity. So how did that come about, and how did that make you feel? It must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. So my kids have been playing with me. My daughter jumped on stage when she was 3 years old, and my son's been on there as well. And so they've been around music their whole life. We've played so many festivals and gigs and some big stuff as well. Yeah, because they look
pretty comfortable up there, I gotta say.
Super comfortable, but I did work them pretty hard in rehearsals. So we did a lot of rehearsing at home, and I also put them on the payroll as well. So I made it like, okay, after school we're doing 2 hours of rehearsals, and it's like, I was like, hey, I'm paying you for this. Gave them PDs, per diems, and treated them like it's a proper job. So they got to see that. And they just smashed it. It was amazing. They got up there and just, what's going through their mind of walking out in front of a sold out crowd, 2,500 people in this massive venue with an orchestra, and you're 11 years old and 9 years old and 11 years old. Yep. It's mind blowing. So it's super stoked. I'm very proud of them, and I think they're going to be super proud of that too. Eventually, at the moment they're quite embarrassed by it.
Of course.
Yeah, because they're at that age now. Like, it's like my daughter's 12, my son's only 15, so they kind of look back at it and go, "Oh my God, why didn't you tell me my hair was like that?" You know what I mean?
It wasn't what we were thinking about.
Yeah. So I'm so proud of them. One day they'll look back and really go, "Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, and so. How did you come about choosing the songs that you were going to? Yeah, because you have lots to choose from.
Yeah, lots to choose from. I think my main thing was wanting to make a performance or a show that crossed all genres and different styles, and really sort of showcase what I do as a musician, as a producer, as a songwriter. So I really wanted to make sure there was some taonga puoro, which is traditional Māori instruments. I want to make sure there was looping in there so people can see that I'd make the stuff up on the spot with looping, some drum and bass, some hip hop, some poppy stuff, and just kind of make it a very genre bending experience. So that if anyone watched it, they could they could watch the whole thing and go, actually, I like that. You know, I like that, I like that. And they don't have to like me or as a musician or an artist, but they can walk away going, actually, I like that.
Right.
So that was the whole idea, is to kind of make it a broad range of styles. Yeah.
Right. And you look like you got along well with the conductor.
Oh yeah, Tom Rainey. He was, he's a star, but he was just so warm and welcoming and just gave me so much confidence and security with the whole thing, because he knew, I was like, how do we? Yeah. And so he was just the best to work with, and we had so much fun. And there were some moments, and they're really special moments, where we looked at each other and went, did we just do that? We just did that. And he's like, yes, you did that. I said, we just did that. Oh my God. So for someone like Tom Rainey, who's worked with so many artists, and to be able to work with him as well, that was a real, just a real privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
So doing this to your music, did you learn anything about your songs, the musicality of it, or did you hear? Were you surprised by anything?
Yeah, I was just loved hearing the arrangers, their interpretation as well. So in the first meeting, we sat down and I talked about certain things I'd like to hear in the songs, but I pretty much went, just go for it. But these are the things I would like to hear. In this song, I love to hear the timpani, real loud drums. This one, I would like to hear lots of horns, this one, string. So they went away and really crafted these incredible orchestral arrangements, and then started sending me ideas back. And I was just like, this is great, this is perfect. And then once you're actually in that space with live musicians, everyone going for it, it's just another level of, it's indescribable really. It's such a powerful, beautiful moment. And, as I said, it's the pinnacle for me to be able to do something like that.
Cool. So you're gonna make some more movies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the bug?
This is the thing. Like, this documentary has opened up these doors, and now I'm getting asked to make music for films. Right. And I've just landed a New Zealand film, a big New Zealand film, and I can't say anything about it, but I'm the musical director and composer of the whole film. I'm just like, yes. So things like that for me are just, okay, this is great, because I'm 29 years doing this music thing. Right. Like, I'm coming up to 30 years of playing New Year's Eves, 30 New Year's Eves in a row. Holy heck, right? You know what I mean? I'm poof. And so for this is like a new thing. I'm like, this is great, I'm
mean, you kind of need that at any age, but especially if you've been doing something for as long as you have. It's like, have I done everything? Is there anything left that is going to challenge me? So.
And this film thing is just perfect, because I'm like, okay, this is a new thing, and I'm really excited by it, and I love the challenge. Right. And I love making music to pictures. Just so much fun.
Cool.
Yeah, coolest job in the world.
All right. Man. So the premiere is August 11th in Christchurch.
August 11th in Christchurch. Yeah, there's 3 screenings in Christchurch, 2 in Dunedin, 1 in Hamilton, 1 in Wellington, and 3 in Tauranga. All the dates are on my website, tikidob.com. Okay. And I'm doing Q&As at some of them as well.
That's good. That'll be fun.
Come along and ask me some questions. So, very stoked, very happy.
Alrighty. Yeah. Well, thanks for spending the time telling me. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, you too,
and the film is, highly recommended.
Thank you very much.
Sad songs, I'm standing up picking lines for all of their past wrongs. Don't talk about resolution, call it a revolution. So baby, let's just go.